Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 30-year veteran of comic, science fiction, fantasy, and horror and role-playing games as a writer, illustrator, editor, publisher, studio manager. And today is March 23rd. Our daily question comes from Dave in Florida. And he says, I saw this on another podcast and thought it would be interesting to hear your take. Do you think it would be plausible that a company like Marvel or DC could relocate to states with more open employment laws and or tax bases such as Texas, Nevada, or Florida? Well, thank you for your question, Dave. On the surface, yes, it's very plausible that they could do it. But keep in mind that part of the reason they're in the states they're in is because they're already receiving tax breaks and tax benefits as companies. It would certainly be better for the employees of these companies if we moved from California to Nevada, because you wouldn't have to pay state sales taxes and or at least when I lived in Nevada, you didn't have to pay state sales tax. But it would be fine in Florida. Again, you have tax breaks for the employees. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to move there for those reasons. It's beneficial to the employees, not maybe so much for the corporations themselves. Otherwise, I think as long as Disney's owned Marvel, they would have already moved the Marvel offices to Florida by now, if that were the case. Also, you have to keep in mind what's based where. New York, whether people like it or not, is still the major hub of publishing in general. New York City area, although there are publishers in other parts of the country, obviously. The main hub is still in New York, so it makes sense for Marvel Publishing to still be based in New York rather than Florida at this time. It's easier for distribution purposes to be based in New York in some aspects, because some of the main warehouses for Diamond are still in New York. They're not going to be in Florida. California, like I said, it's a little bit of a weird thing. They pay companies to bring jobs and people to the state for population purposes, and they get huge tax breaks. That's part of the reason why DC was moved over to California years ago. I think that part of the reason they moved to California also is because of them buying Jim Lee out and buying Wildstorm out, but I'm not sure about that for certain. But that's the basics of it. Now, is it plausible? Yes, it's always plausible to do it. But I think it's also plausible to go where there's a lot of other states that could offer them tax breaks as well to bring people to those population states like Montana and the Dakotas and pardon me, Utah and New Mexico that need a greater population base, need more jobs available. So the question is, which states can offer them as a overall company the biggest tax breaks? And part of the reason why a lot of these other states I just named often don't win is because they don't have the populations and they don't have the economic substructure for those states to offer the better tax break solutions enough to come to their state. And that has to do with the way our government is set up. It doesn't allow for it, and that's done on purpose. It's done on purpose so that we have these major population centers throughout the country that can create populist vote to control who gets voted in for president, who gets control for voted in for congressional positions. And so if you want that to change, you kind of have to force your government to unify and a unilateral position where people can get different types of tax breaks for companies to bring their jobs. And that's not just publishing comics, that's everything. If we did that, then we would be able to spread out the population base a lot better, and we'd probably get a lot more balance of economic structure in our country. We'd have a lot better voting capacity for certain states. It would change the electoral college to a beneficial level, I believe, and other things. But that's political science and not comics talk. So we'll put that to the side. We'll talk about that another time if someone really wants to talk about that. But back to comics. I think the best thing from Marvel or DC, Disney will probably bring Marvel to Florida at some point. As far as I know, and let me check to make sure I am correct on this. Okay. Even Marvel's, there's no part of Marvel that is in Florida. They were founded in New York and they're currently in Burbank. So again, I think that it has to do more with the structure of where things are located in the country. Yeah, so that's the main thing there. But most of it is located, all the non-comics side of it, shall we say, is pretty much located there. Now, keep in mind, Marvel is also an international base as well, with dozens and dozens of subsidiaries. And the same thing with DC. So they've got stuff in Canada, they've got stuff in Japan, they've got stuff in Europe for specific headquarters in other countries as well. And that makes a difference. It's more like the Marvel Entertainment, the head company is still in New York, and I think it'll stay there for the time being. So that's pretty much it for now, I think. Thank you for your question, Dave. Again, like I said, it has more to do with what tax breaks are being offered in the specific states to them versus what it looks like, because a lot of artists are leaving California and moving over to Nevada when they can. The freelancers, they're moving to New Mexico, they're moving to Utah. Again, for freelancers, it's certainly a much better situation, but for the companies themselves, I think they do a little bit better, and that's why they haven't moved to what would seem like a more creator-friendly, employee-friendly situation. Alrighty. If you have questions that you'd like me to answer, visit QuothRavenLBR72 at gmail.com. Subject QTR Q&A. I started from a little bit kind of monotone or a little bit off today. I'm still waking up, unfortunately. So I'm a little bit out of it, but hopefully I'll be ready for the next episode. And if you liked our video, or you think others might, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get support from this channel, get content from this channel, I should say. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. You can reach me on social media at Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can see some of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. Again, if you have questions for the show or something you want me to talk about, if you have a commission that you'd like to consider, get in touch with me at Quoth the Raven, lbr72@gmail.com. If I don't get back to you within a day or so, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. That's all for now, folks. We'll see you later this afternoon with comics reviews. We'll be reviewing the comics Mega, which is a kaiju book. Monster book from Stonebot Studios and Red 5 Comics. And we'll be reviewing The Kill Lock. See you next time.